Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another Harry Langdon celebrity photo session. And in this case, it's President Ronald Reagan. And what went into this very important session for me, it was such an honor to have them book a session with me because it was such a departure when my normal sessions are music people, album covers, and fashion shoots. But photographing presidents, this was really a big time for me. And so I had to kind of get over the nervousness about it and just figured that President Ronald Reagan was an actor and prior to becoming president, and it was real easy to direct him. And so I want to go into though and give you kind of a background of what went on the session and who was there, the Secret Service, and all the details of it. And first of all, I'd photographed Nancy before, Nancy Reagan, and I'd photographed a lot of people in the Hollywood, the society world. And so when it came time for her husband to become president, she recommended me to be the photographer. And so it's such an honor. And so my studio at that time was prepared and big enough to handle big sessions like this. And it was on Beverly Boulevard and Beverly Hills, and there was quite a large staff that I needed to handle sessions like this. And they booked a photo session for Ronald in 1980. And to give you a sort of like an environment and the time and place, I'd been photographing subjects like Cher and Diana Ross and Donna Summer, and these were also really important sessions. But this was kind of like a major session of President of the United States. And so the first thing that happened was I got a knock at the door of my studio. I think it was around December of 1980. And there were three guys in black suits. And this was the Secret Service detail. They're flashing badges and everything, and they want to kind of check me out to make sure I was okay. And so, there's always a little danger involved in prominent people going out in public like this. So they wanted to know which entrance it would be best to have the president arrive in. So it was a side entrance to my studio on a side street. And, the day came, though, in 1981 when the Ronald and his entourage started arriving. The first thing that we heard was sirens off in the distance. And I thought it was just an emergency vehicle or something, but no. These guys turned on all their sirens and their red lights and blue lights and everything prior to arriving at a location. So that was very sobering for me and for my staff, to have all these black SUVs and limousines arriving. That was a very sobering factor. I thought, oh, it's really getting serious now. And so they pulled up. The next thing that I noticed was news crews from all over Los Angeles started arriving with the news vehicles, NBC and CBS, and they're all banging into each other trying to get a shot of the president arriving. And finally he got in. The Secret Service kind of waited him through the reporters, and they got him in the side door of my studio. And so the first thing the president did when he walked in, we shook hands, by the way, at that time, and he made a beeline for the most comfortable place in the room, which was a tall director's chair. And so he just went over and made himself comfortable, figured this is another photo session, just like he's probably done hundreds of them before. And so I let him kind of get comfortable with that, and he picked up a magazine called The Hollywood Reporter and started going through the pages and see what was going on in Hollywood. Because prior to becoming president, he was the governor of California. He was also the head of the Screen Actors Guild, and he was an actor and done tons of movies and was on the radio. This man had been in the entertainment business all of his life. But this is a different thing. This is the leader and the president and the leader of the United States now. So I let him get comfortable. In the meantime, Nancy went in the dressing room, was getting her hair done and makeup, and so it was kind of like old times, meeting Nancy again and everything. And so, but then one of the assistants to the White House came over to me and said, "Now, Mr. Langdon, we want you to tell the president how you want him to perform in front of the camera. What kind of expressions are you going to ask him to do? What kind of attitude, talking in acting terms, would you like him to get?" So, okay, got it. Now, this again was something I was not prepared for. And I was thinking, oh man, so I tried to superimpose him as being an actor primarily. And what would an actor like to be told when they're going to go on stage, being the president now of the United States? So, okay, I went over and I nudged the president and said, I asked him, addressed him as Ronald at that point. I thought it was okay. I said, today we're going to do a session that's a little departure from what you've done in the past. It isn't all just smiles and happiness. No, this is more serious. We want to see you as more like a father figure, or somebody that we can come up to and ask for advice, and you're going to tell us what to do and change the way the country is going to run and all that. And I said, so I'll remind you, remember, it's kind of like a father figure out there. He goes, okay, got it. Okay, so at that point, we asked him, he said, where do I stand? Where do I sit? And we sat him down at a table. And so we got him sitting here, as you can see, at like a posing table. And this is with him and Nancy together. And so we sat the president down, and I got behind the camera. And the camera I was using at that time was for those of you camera buffs out there, was a Hasselblad camera, 2.25 film camera. And so it was the most professional camera you could get that shot quickly, rapidly. And so this is a shot of me photographing them and photographing Ronald. And so I had a few assistants. Now, what was interesting sidelight is that there were Secret Service men all around. You can't see them in the background. And they're watching me and they're watching my assistants to make sure there wasn't any unexpected behavior from us. And so every time I would kneel down, the Secret Service would kneel down with me. And every time I'd move over this way, the Secret Service, they followed my every move. And so it's a little sobering, to be the jovial, happy photographer. And so we went on with the session, and there's an interesting insight into when we're photographing all of my clients, even if it's the president, I have to get a camaraderie going and conversations going. This is when Nancy came out, and it's a shot of me conversing with them and talking about, real life things and getting them to kind of feel there's a friend behind the camera. And so I do this with everybody, but in the case of being the president and first lady, it was a little different. And so I thought it was really a good background shot. And so the session went on, and we did shots with the president and the first lady together. This is really a nice shot. And by the way, one of the shots became the cover of Time magazine. It's not quite the same shot, but the cover of Time magazine, that was a real honor. This was all over the country a few years ago. And so that was a real happy that one of the shots from the session turned up on Time magazine. And so it was really such a charming, happy couple because they're from the entertainment business. When you ask them to smile or get serious or get more romantic, they immediately knew what to do. I didn't have to coax them into it. And so then we photographed the president by himself and got some real good portraits of him and close-ups, and it's real easy to do with somebody like him. In the meantime, I'm reminding him of being the kind of like a jovial father figure. Then we switched over to taking formal shots of the president that would be used more for his formal pictures that they use from the White House. And this is one where, I thought I was real proud to get that shot. And this is all real exciting stuff. And now about 2 hours had transpired. We're kind of getting toward the end of the session, and we did some of Nancy by herself. And she just, real easy, great smiles on Nancy. And people in the entertainment business are real good. You don't have to tell them to smile. That whenever you point a camera at them, they immediately generate a perfect smile. That's another really nice shot of the President and First Lady. And so this is another shot of Nancy. I want to make sure I got good shots of Nancy while she was there, because after that there wasn't a chance I was going to photograph her in a studio session like this, except I did get a call to photograph Nancy later on after the president had been in office, and we were called to go up to the house to do some shots at their home in Bel Air. But what's interesting though is this session was a lot different than most of my sessions. Most of my sessions were people sort of like in the fashion business or music business, and so I had to really make sure that these shots came out really, really good, and the session was really just extraordinary. I really knocked myself out on this, and they were really happy. And so interesting incidents that happened right after the session. There was an attempted assassination on President Reagan about 3 months after I did the photo session. He was not expected to live, by the way. It was really a sad situation. And so it was very sobering. But then after that, there was a lot of other things happened with the president. He did amazing things in his presidency. He reawakened to having kids pray in school, in the classroom, and that he initiated and got it formally introduced. He also went to Germany and got the president of the Soviet Union to take down a wall there. So because Berlin, East Berlin, West Berlin were, it's a long story, maybe you may not know all of it, but he got them to take down this wall. He did amazing things in his presidency, and he was elected for 2 terms. So Ronald was really doing really good as the president. And so after that session, though, and after he was president for this first term, then we got a call to photograph Nancy by herself. And she wanted to take some pictures in her backyard. And what she really wanted the pictures for was for a book cover called My Turn. It's her turn to tell her story. So I thought this was really a charming shot we did of her. We purposely did it in the backyard. And so there was an interesting thing that after, you might be interested, after his presidency was over, this is now in 1989, and we did these shots, had done these shots of Nancy. I got a call to go up to the president's home in Bel Air. And so I thought, wow, this is big time again. I'm going to go up to his home, and I didn't know quite what to expect because I had the proofs that were taken, the shots I did on Nancy with me, and she wanted me to go to the house and show them to her personally, which I was obliged to do, and I thought that was cool. She'd done so much for me. And so I drove up to the house, and I couldn't predict the amount of security that was surrounding the home that they had. And so they even had a car blocking the entranceway to the driveway. And so it goes on and on. So finally, I got out of my car, walked up the driveway, and went up to the front door. And I was not quite sure what to expect next. So the Secret Service man that was standing there with the badge and all said, why don't you just try pushing the doorbell? Which I did. I did not know what to express. And sure enough, the door opened, and it was President Ronald Reagan, who had retired at this point, answered the door himself. And I was really taken back. Wow, the president, after, 8 years, now I get to meet him again, and I'm going to show Nancy the proofs. And it was just another experience. It was just another profound experience that I had in my photographic career. And so the president asked me to come in and sit down. I went, okay, no problem. And the only place to sit down was at a round table in the middle of the den. And there was absolute silence there. There was no security, no nothing. And the president was sitting across from me, and he said, here, have a seat there. And we're face to face. I'm sitting face to face now with the president, who I photographed quite a few years earlier. And there was total silence. And a lot of you may never experience something where you sit face to face with somebody and somebody has to start talking. So I chose to start talking. And I said, Mr. President, I used to wake up in the morning, I think, I've got a tough day ahead. And then I thought, wow, you must really have had some tough days when you woke up in the morning. He said, yes, I did. He said, I didn't really particularly want to be president. He said, but they said that you'd be a perfect president. You were a great governor, but now you're going to be the best president we could ever achieve. And he said, oh, okay. He couldn't turn down the invitation to be president. And so we went on talking on that level. And then I heard a voice from the other room. It was Nancy said, Harry, I'll be right out, okay? Have patience, I'll be right there. And so sure enough, when Nancy came out, it kind of broke the conversation with the president. But that was an awesome experience I had. It's not many people get to sit and talk to the president after they've been president like that. It was really go down in my biography. And so the session was really very, very successful. The president went on doing some amazing things in his career, and he was retired, and gradually his health started dwindling a little bit. And so, he served as a wonderful terms as president, and I want to say how grateful I was that I was chosen to be his photographer. And so if you guys enjoyed the stories, and please give me a thumbs up and give me good comments if you can, and I'll try to comment back to you, okay? And write me at my email address, click@earthlink.net, and you can also look up my website, harrylangdon.com. You'll see a whole bunch of other pictures there. Thanks for tuning in again, you guys. I'll see you on the next one. Okay, bye.